Hey guys, and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to be breaking down Bakasana, the crane pose. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the difference between Bakasana and Kakasana, the crow pose, and also looking at different variations and progressions to go from a beginner level all the way through to advanced. Let's go. Okay, so the main difference between Bakasana and Kakasana is one is done with straight arms, one is done with bent arms. I'll show you what I mean. So Bakasana traditionally is done like this, knees up into the armpits, elbows straight, okay? And then Kakasana variation would be done maybe even a bit lower, with the elbows bent a bit more like this. But the reality is that for most people, they need to start with the bent arm variation, work their way up towards doing it with the arms straight. Because when you do it with the arms straight, you're going to have to lean the shoulders so far forward that it puts a lot of pressure on the wrists. I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm in this variation, I'm leaning so far forward, it's a lot of pressure if I straighten the elbows on the wrist. So if I bend the elbows back, you can see now the elbows are sitting on top of the wrist, which makes it feel a lot safer and less pressure on the wrist. Okay, so let's break it down. We begin, and I want you to think about creating what I call the angry cat. So tucking the tailbone under, flexing through the spine, rounding the upper back, pulling the shoulders toward the hips and spreading the shoulder blades. So this is a basic position. From there, we can take that same shape to a high plank with an angry cat. So straighten your knees, posterior tilt, flex the spine, round the upper back, spread the shoulder blades and shoulders to the hips. From there, you can bring one knee high up into the arm, keep the same shape as you lean forward, shoulders coming forward over the fingers. Let's try the other side. So knee up high, round the back. As you lean forward, pull the shoulders to the hips. And then the last position to practice is Lolasana. So we bring the hands to the floor, knees next to the hands, set it all up, so round the back, shoulders to the hips, and then you're going to lift your knees tight into the chest, and you're probably going to want to cross your ankles so you can lift the feet off the floor. If that's too hard for you to lift the feet off the floor, you can elevate yourself, use blocks, okay? Set it all up, shoulders to the hips, angry cat shape, lean forward, knees to chest, cross the feet, pull the feet up. Okay, so then we're ready now to try bring it into Bakasana, bent arms, working towards straight arms. So let's do it. So I'll just show you from the front. You're going to create a little torque, a little external rotation, which is going to bring your elbows in. With the elbows in, this is going to create a little shelf on top of the elbows for your knees to sit on. And then you pull shoulders to the hips, push up between the shoulder blades, tuck under, and you lean forward till you feel like your feet float off the floor. Once you've got that, you're going to take the knees a little bit higher up. So get that external rotation, shoulders to the hips, tuck it under, lean forward, feet float. Until eventually, just like you had a little shelf for the knees on top of the elbows, there's another little point here where the knees hug in nice and tight into the armpits, like this. Pull the shoulders to the hips, tuck it under, lean forward, and lift up. So you're either going to stay there with elbows slightly bent or try to straighten the arms fully. And one thing I want to point out also is the feet. So in a vinyasa practice, often the feet will just be pointing, toes together, heels apart, which makes it easier to lift up. But in Ashtanga, we usually keep the heels together, which makes it a little bit harder to get that lift. It can still be done, but you really need to focus on driving up through the inside of the legs. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so if I have my heels apart, I can get a lot more lift than when I bring the heels together. One more thing about the straight arm version is it is a good progression for more advanced skills like pressing to a handstand. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm here in Bakasana with the elbows straight and I press, my arms are straight, go to the handstand, and then keep the elbows straight as I lower back down. Having the elbows straight makes it easier to press and lower. Can be done with the elbows bent, but it's a different technique. As always, work with the level that's appropriate for you. Don't get lost in too many rules and dogma. If you need to bend the elbows to start with, that's totally fine. Just know that you can work towards having the elbows straight as long as it's pain-free for you in the wrists. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, click the subscribe button, share with your friends, and let me know in the comments.